Welcome to my annual theme park ranking. I talk a lot about roller coasters, so it happens that I miss out on talking about the parks they are at. I have visited a lot of different parks, and the gap in quality between some is really big. So let's take a look at my 15 favorites. Quick reminder before we start. I've been to Europa Park, but it is not on this list, because it is not my thing. I never really liked the atmosphere, and I'm not a fan of the many smaller themed areas. As well as that, the park has a crippling lack of good rides. Oh, and Heide Park won't be included on this list as well, because that park flat out sucks. But now, let's begin. Coming in at number 15 is Slagharen in the Netherlands. This park might be really small, but it is a great example for quality over quantity. The park has a quite unique layout, which gives the park a strange but nice atmosphere. And adding to the atmosphere is the good collection of retro flat rides. Luckily, all of these are in great shape. The main attraction here is by far Gold Rush, one of Europe's best coasters. Other major rides, of which I didn't ride all, are the Essenes Drop Tower, the dark ride with a Wild West theme, the Enterprise, and the unique Wave Swinger. So as you can see, Gold Rush really is the only standout ride here. This is not a full day park, especially if you're only in for the coasters, but it's still worth staying around for some time. You could of course hit up the water park if you have an entire day. A huge bonus of this place is the season pass system. For not that much money you can get the gold version, which grants you unlimited access to 3 other parks, as well as cheaper entry for many other European parks. This is not sponsored, by the way. For the 14th spot we head up to Denmark, where we find Djurs Sommerland. I really like the charm of Danish parks, and this one is no exception. My so far only visit was during Halloween of 2019, and I had a great time there. The park has a really unique feel to it, and the atmosphere is awesome. It's a really beautiful park and the staff there is super nice. The ride collection is pretty good as well, with 7 coasters and some other great attractions. The park actually has 3 outstanding big rides. Piraten, one of only 5 Intermin Megalights, Juwelen, a great Intermin family thrill quad coaster, and Tigeren, an outstanding Intermin gyro swing. On top of that, the supporting rides are also pretty good. This is a full day park, especially together with the water park. It might not be on a route if you're doing a trip through Central Europe, but if it's possible that you could go, then do it. Moving over to Poland, we have Legendia on the 13th spot. This might be a bit controversial, but I was surprised by this park. Sure, the park has an RMC killer with leg coaster, but there are also other great things about this place. The park has 2 solid water rides, for example, and they have solid theming. The park also features a great flat ride collection. Some of them are a bit sketchy, some don't seem to be in the greatest shape, but the variation is big. You shouldn't miss out on the shooting dark ride as well, that one is pretty good. But what made me really like this park? The charm. This is a really beautiful place. The lake in the middle and the overall clean experience is awesome. I heard the park has been getting many improvements in the recent years, and they pay off well. Leg coaster is making the visit worth it alone, but it's great that the park itself is awesome. For the 12th spot, we go back to Denmark for Tivoli Gardens. Out of all the parks I've been to, this one might just be the prettiest. And it's great even though it's pretty small. The fusion between a big garden and a fairground is incredible. The park has a big variation of things to do alongside the rides. There is a food court, an aquarium, a concert stage, and much more. There aren't many coasters there, but Tivoli has a lot of flat rides, and some of them are pretty unique. The park's main attractions are Demonen, a small but fun beat and flawless coaster, Rutschebanen, the oldest still operating coaster in Europe, and Vertigo, the arguably most intense flat ride on Earth. But aside these rides, there's a lot more to do. Even though the park is small, you can easily spend a full day here. If there is one downside, then it has to be that this park is quite pricey. Number 11 is the first American park on the list, Kings Island. I know that many people really love this place and rank it a lot higher than I do, so let me explain why it's not in my top 10. While Kings Island is a clean and up-to-date park with an impressive size and ride collection, it sadly didn't feel very unique. There is a lot to ride there, but that is pretty much it. The atmosphere of the park felt strange and I was not a huge fan of it. Another thing I was missing, that one ride that is blowing you away. As I visited in 2019, I can't judge Orion, but as I didn't think Mystic Timbers was that great, I got a little disappointed with the top coasters. But please don't get me wrong, I still like the lineup. I do prefer if a park has one ride that is far better than the rest over a park with having many pretty good rides without one of them being like world class. The top attraction range there is big, so I'm not going to mention the few best ones because there are a lot, but Diamondback is my favorite at the park. Of course I recommend a visit, but I thought this was your average high-class chain park. Back in Europe, in the Netherlands to be exact, Walibi Holland is my 10th favorite park. This place is the fixed version of Kings Island for me. It's not as big, but it's prettier and more unique. The ride collection there is really good and the variation is great. I really enjoyed both of my visits to this park. It feels like it's an abstract makeover of a standard chain park, which is something nice and new. It's still noticeable that it's a chain park, but in a good way. The main attractions here are of course Untamed, Europe's best hybrid coaster, Goliath, a great mega coaster, Endless Gravity, a well-themed and intense Mug Rides Big Dipper. The main attractions get supported by some good flats and water rides as well as some other good coasters. The reason I don't rank this place higher is that there are a few small things that are not that great, but it's not a lot. On number 9 is another American park, Knott's Berry Farm in California. So I visited this park 4 years ago as a GP, and I made some mistakes, but boy did I have a lot of fun here. This has to be the most charming chain park that I've been to, and as a GP I really thought this was family owned. Surprisingly, there is some good theming here as well as great rides. I did skip Ghost Rider, a decision I still regret, and Hang Time didn't even exist back in 2016, but I had a great time nonetheless. The one reason why I go nuts about Knott's is the western area. That area is easily my favorite western area and it has better theming than many European parks. The live actors are such a great aspect and the whole area is really big and it does make you feel like you are in a different world. My favorite ride here is of course Accelerator, but if I would get to ride Hang Time and Ghost Rider that could change. Moving on, number 8 is Chips Trail. Now this park might just be the most charming park that I've been to. The regional theming throughout the entire park is fantastic. It is crazy how many rides there have that unique theme. About the rides, the park has a pretty good attraction lineup. There is something for everyone. Some of the attractions are pretty unique actually. From my visit in 2019, Carajo was of course the best ride there. But with the two new for 2020 Vekomas, the park now has a quite impressive lineup looking at the size. Regarding the size, the park area, excluding the animal park, is not the largest, but because of the strange walkways, it feels fairly big. I really want to get back to this park, and not only for the new coasters. On number 7 sits Energylandia. This is a sketchy park, and that is still an understatement. So much in this park makes no sense, but that's what I like about it. The top 2 punch of this place is incredible, and they have a few other nice thrill coasters and rides, but then the rest of the really big park is filled with family coasters, water rides and other strange stuff. Some areas there are quite pretty and nicely themed, but some just have that fairground feel and are just bad. But the mix between well-made areas and sketchy parks give this park a surprisingly good atmosphere. Next year you will be able to get up to 18 coaster credits at this park, which is the most in Europe, and as much as at Cedar Point, though it is a lot more quantity than quality. This is definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but I really like it. If you want to get every credit, you will need a 2-day visit. This place is really big. Over in the Netherlands, we got Toverland on number 6. Boy is this park beautiful and unique. The coaster collection there is pretty strong. The top 3 is one of the better ones in Europe. I love the theming in this park, especially Avalon, the area around Phoenix. The India area is such a cool part of the park as well. It's split into 2 parts. One of them is pretty sketchy, and the other one is some pretty fun rides. The walkways in this park sometimes feel they are right out of a botanic garden, and the staff at the park is really nice for the most part. Sadly, Boosterbike was closed during my visit, but I don't mind it. Toverland might not have the quantity, but boy does it have the quality. I recommend a full day, even though the park never gets too crowded. Starting off the top 5 is Canada's Wonderland. Now this park has some similarities with Energylandia. Like Energylandia, it has a lot of coasters, but only 3 standout ones. Looking at the flat rides, they are also fairly similar there, but Canada's Wonderland is more. Away from this comparison now, this place is awesome. The atmosphere is really good and there is actually some solid theming in quite a few areas, but not a knots level. While there might only be 3 really good coasters, the flat ride collection is one of the best out there. And if you're in for the credits, you can get really many. While it is a quantity focused park, the quality is still very good and I do recommend 1.5 days if you plan on visiting. So the next 4 parks are all very close to each other. Number 4 is Phantasialand. This has to be the park with the best themed areas I've been to. My favorite park areas are Ruckburg and Deep in Africa, though Klugheim and parts of Mexico are amazing as well. The attraction lineup is really good and there is hardly anything I would change about it. The list of main attractions there is long, though Fly, Black Mamba and Taron are of course the 3 best. But I have to mention Chiapas, the best log flume, and Talocan, one of the most intense flat rides out there. I overall really like this park, but it really feels like the high attendance park it is, even though it's not the largest, which keeps me from ranking it higher. I know I might be biased here, but on the 3rd spot is Hansa Park in northern Germany, my home park. There is no other park that I have been to more often, yet it doesn't get boring visiting this place. One of the greatest things about it, it really brings over that feel of a small family park, even though it has a fairly high attendance and park size. The atmosphere is so good, and the entire park is beautiful. There are only very few spots that need to be remade. In the recent years there have been some makeovers of outdated areas, which all have improved the park a lot. The attraction lineup there is pretty good, with a great top 3 of coasters, including the best one in Europe, as well as some nice flat rides, including my favorite drop tower, Highlander. You are also going to find a lot of water rides and classic attractions, which are all in great shape. If you want to know more, you should check out the park guide I made a few months ago. I'm so glad that this is my home park, and I love it to bits. If there's one park that has by far my favorite atmosphere, that has to be the park on number 2. It's Liseberg in downtown Gothenburg in Sweden. This park is near flawless looking at what it has to offer. There is a great variation of flat rides and other amazing attractions along the hillside the park is built on. During my first visit in 2019 I missed some great ones, so I really need to come back. The coaster lineup is fantastic as well. The top 4 is so freaking good, with Balder, Helix, Valkyria and Lisebergbahnen. But it's not the rides alone that makes Liseberg my second favorite theme park. The main reason why I love this park so much is the atmosphere. I can't describe it, but it just feels amazing walking through every area of the park. All the areas are of course beautiful, but it's more than that. This place is so close to being my favorite park, but it doesn't beat the one and only for me. Number 1 is of course Cedar Point. I don't really have to say much about it, do I? Big and great coaster collection, many great other rides, an epic location and a great atmosphere. Steel Vengeance, Top for Dragster, Maverick and many other great attractions all in one place make it so good. While there isn't really that much theming, it does not feel like the rides just got slapped in there. It is impressive how well this massive park is kept. Seriously, this park is huge. Walking from the entrance all the way to the back of the park can easily take 20 minutes. There is a reason this park is a must visit for every theme park fan. No matter how much you care about things like theming, pricing and atmosphere, you are pretty much guaranteed to like this park. I cannot recommend visiting it enough, but I also don't even think I need to. And there you go. These are my top 15 favorite theme parks as of November 2020. What are your favorite parks? Thanks for watching. Bye.